Pleasant day everyone. I am Meraida Mohammad Said, the second reporter for Lesson 2, and I will be discussing the 6th to 13th features of human language by Hockett. So without further ado, let's start the discussion. Number 6. Specialization. Humans have lips, tongue, throat, etc., and each organ has its own specific function in speech. Human speech serves no other function than to communicate. Each part of human speech has its own specialization, but in the end, they need to work together. Tongue specializes in movability of the speech. Throat produces sound, but only when tongue, lips, and teeth work together, the sound that comes from the throat can be understandable letters and words. Number 7. Semanticity. This means that for every signal, there is a corresponding meaning. Semanticity is the use of symbols can either refer to objects or relations between two objects. In the human language, words are the basic form of symbols. For example, the word book refers to an object made of paper on which something is written on it. Semanticity is a property of language that allows it to represent events, ideas, and actions, thereby endowing it with the capacity to communicate meaning. Number 8. Arbitrariness. Sometimes we ask why we assign bird to refer to small flying animals. Human language is arbitrary, meaning there is no necessary connection to the form and the thing assigned to. Arbitrariness is the absence of any natural or necessary connection between a word's meaning and its sounds form. But the overwhelming presence of arbitrariness in language is the main reason it takes so long to learn the vocabulary of foreign language. For example, the word langgam in Bisaya means bird, while the word langgam in the Tagalog means ant. So instead of the universal rules and uniformity, then language relies on association of word meanings deriving from cultural conventions. Number 9. Discreteness. The basic speech unit can be categorized. There is no gradual continuous shading from one sound to another in the linguistic system, although there may be a continuum in the real physical world. So messages in human language do not consist of sounds that are continuous, like siren, for example, but are made up of discrete, that is, individually distinct or segments. The difference between the English questions, would you care for a piece of toast, and would you care for a piece of roast, is due solely to two discrete sounds at the same place in each sentence, one written and pronounced as T and the other as R. Discreteness means that even though language is produced as a stream of speech, it can be broken down into meaningful units. Now, number 10, displacement. Sometimes we speak about things in the past or future, and our language allows us to do so. We can even talk about distant things like planets and things which do not exist. The capability of language to communicate about things that are not immediately present, especially or temporarily, things that are either not here or are not here now. We can also talk about distant things like planets, Milky Ways, or any things that cannot be seen by our naked eyes. We have also the capability to talk about things that are make-believe or does not exist, like fairy tales or any Disney movies. Number 11, productivity. We can create never before heard utterances. Humans can say things that Humans can say things that have never been said before, and they can understand things they have never heard before. Thinking up a novel sentence is not difficult. For example, our two cats argue about approaches to linguistic anthropology whenever they are left at home alone. Poets quite regularly use language in innovative ways. When a new thing is invented, we make up a new name for it. Number 12, traditional transmission. Learning language requires effort because human language is not inborn. Though there are biological predispositions for humans to acquire language, linguistic information is not passed on genetically, but rather culturally. One does not inherit a particular language. Children learn language from parents or others whom they speak with. It depends on their environment. Speaking a particular language is therefore a part of one's overall cultural behavior, that is, behavior acquired through learning or experiences. Number 13, the duality of patterning. This means that the discrete parts of a language can be combined in a systematic way to create new forms. It is the ability to recombine all small units in different order. This is perhaps the most subtle design feature proposed by Hockett. This feature tells us that the human language is organized on two distinct levels: level of meaningless sounds and a level of meaningful parts of language. Both have their own largely independent patterns. For example, consider just these three sounds: A, R, and E. On the phonemic sound level, they have no meaning, but they can be combined to form words like R, ear, and era. The obvious advantage of duality of patterning is that a limited number of linguistic units of one kind make up a vast numbers of units on another level. Just like atoms, much as the atoms of only about 90 naturally occurring elements make up the molecules of millions of different compounds. So that is for the lesson 2. Thank you for listening.